Hello, kia ora, and welcome to the Creative Matters podcast, where we have inspiring conversations with artists from Aotearoa, New Zealand. I'm your host, Mandy Jakic. Hi, welcome back to the Creative Matters podcast. It's so lovely to have you listening. Gilly Sheffield is a sculptor and weaver living in both Glendowie in Auckland and Wanaka in the South Island. After a lifetime of making, it was only a few years ago that Gilly developed a more specific art practice using corrugated iron and started to see herself as an artist. In this episode, Gilly shares how she came upon this very iconic New Zealand material, corrugated iron, how she sources it with help from her iron rescue collective friends, and the stories this medium tells for her. Gilly generously shares a very personal traumatic event in her family's life that led to the creation of a whakapapa installation of crosses for her home, which marked the beginning of her art practice. She explains how she came to adding woven line and pattern with thread and the steps she took to learn to weave. This chat was so motivating for me and really got me thinking about all the potential of not only Gilly's work, but other ideas that came to me using different materials. I'm sure you'll feel the same. We both got really excited about the potential of her work, exploring the possibilities of outdoor sculpture, scale, perspective, use of different threads, and also public installations. We also reflect on the pricing of her work, the dreaded imposter syndrome, and how she came to exhibit her work in a number of New Zealand art galleries. Gilly is celebrating a really big year with her first group show with Kylie Rusk and Claudia Elderink. This is called Elements, which is at Turua Gallery from the 18th to the 30th of October 2024. I know you're going to find this story really touching, actually, and very inspiring. Hi, Gilly.
Hi, Mandy. Kia ora.
Kia ora. It's so good to meet you. Oh, my goodness. I felt like I wanted to be your best friend before I even met you. And now even more so. So welcome to Muriwai and to the Creative Matters podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's such a joy to be out here.
Oh, that's good.
In your beautiful garden.
Yeah, it's so beautiful today. It's the most gorgeous spring day.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Yeah, so very much looking forward to hearing your story. I'm completely in love with your works, and you very generously gifted me one of your crosses, which has really blown me away, brought a tear to the eye, actually. Because,
thank you.
Yeah, I already had connected very much to your work, so it's lovely to see them actually in real life. It's another thing again, isn't it, when you actually see a work?
Yes.
Instead of looking at a photo.
Very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're very intricate and beautiful and incredibly well made.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so thank you. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. You just told me you're 60, and we rejoice in age in this podcast.
Mm.
And so you're 60, but older than me. Where were you actually born?
I was born in Thames Hospital. We lived in Ngātea. My parents were teachers. And so I had my first 4 years there. Then we moved up to Dargaville. Dad was the deputy principal at the high school. So, I went right through school in Dargaville.
And so I have read that both of your parents were quite creative, and your mother in particular was an amazing craftswoman.
Yes, she was always doing something. So she was, when we were in Ngātea, because there was 4 of us, she didn't work as a teacher, but she was a dressmaker. And I think when she was at school, she actually was offered a dressmaking scholarship, but she wanted to go to phys ed school in Otago. So she did that, but she was either sewing or knitting or crocheting or doing macrame or, always. We had, and the German magazine Birder was a highlight at home. It would arrive every month. It was a magazine, and in the back of it would be some big sheets of paper that were folded up, and they would have patterns all over them. So your pattern might have green dash dot, and you would have to trace over that onto pattern making paper. So the whole bit of paper was covered with lines. And does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that was part of the whole process, was that you would make this pattern.
Wow.
And then cut out your material and then, make it. Yeah.
How cool. So that was just something that you did as a child that, inspired by your mum.
Yes, yeah. And she was she was pretty good with teaching us to sew. Like two of my sisters are very good sewers. So we were just brought up with it.
Yeah, it was just what you knew. Yeah, my mum was a great sewer. She sewed all of our clothes, as a lot of women did in those days, I suppose. It's funny to say in those days, but, And I never had any interest whatsoever.
Oh, really? No, I guess there weren't, and when I grew up, and in Dargaville, there weren't a lot of options to buy clothes, really, and there was no Glassons, there was nothing, there was no cheap clothing, so yeah, it was fantastic. We just loved it. Going to the material shops was just, if you came down to Auckland, it was like such a highlight.
Yeah, and those fabric shops were beautiful places.
They were beautiful.
Oh my God, I have such vivid memories. I think I've mentioned it in another episode of, them sort of throwing the fabric across the table and then slicing up with really sharp scissors.
Yeah. And their displays were beautiful. We would pore over those pattern books for hours, and I would dream about clothes that I was making, Yeah.
It was quite a different thing, wasn't it? It was very creative, really. I mean, it was just part of sort of domestic life in a way. That's probably how it was seen then. But it was actually really creative.
It was really creative. I made my own wedding dress, based on Mum's pattern, just my daughter sews, actually. One of my daughters sews. So she had her own little sewing.
Sewing sort of has come back, and knitting and crocheting.
It has.
A lot of those crafts, embroidery, have become more popular again.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the sad thing is there's so much cheap rubbish out there for clothing, and fabrics are so expensive.
Yeah, and the patterns are expensive.
Yeah, so people don't do it as a way of saving money.
No, it's definitely not a way of saving money, I don't think. But there is something incredibly fulfilling in wearing something that you've made.
Yeah, yeah. So were you discovering other parts of your creative soul, and how did you go at high school?
I played a lot of sport, and no, I didn't really I wasn't allowed to take art, and I don't know if I would have chosen to take it either, because I knew I wanted to be a phys ed teacher. So we always made things as kids. We were always making things. We would make roads out of pegs, and then make the houses out of material and boxes and glue them all, and we would always be doing things like that, but art itself wasn't something that we did. I guess we had a set of paints, that kind of thing. And I think the first proper art gallery I went to was in France when I was 27 or 28. Sport was the thing in our family. We played a lot of it. Mum and Dad played a lot of it, which gave us a lot of free creative playtime because they were playing golf a lot. And
also you weren't in a big city, so there probably weren't many galleries around.
No. I look, there probably was a gallery. Do you think there would have been?
I don't think so. Dargaville.
I certainly never went to one.
No.
And even in Dunedin, I don't know that I went to the art gallery there.
My parents never went to art galleries themselves, so they didn't take us. They'd take us to like classical concerts or something.
Oh gosh, no.
Which wasn't necessarily what I wanted to be doing either.
No, but it would have been pretty amazing.
Yeah. So you knew that you wanted to be a PE teacher like your mum
and dad.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. So I know it's a little bit short-sighted possibly, but in those days too, the other thing for women particularly, there weren't a lot of choices that were encouraged. I wasn't bright enough to do medicine, and PE school teaching was definitely one of those options, that was acceptable, or nursing, or
secretarial.
Yes. I think we were quite limited with our vision. We were always encouraged to go to university, but really it was to teach almost, I think. So, but I went to Otago. It was the only place at that point you could study phys ed, and I loved it. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Really?
So I don't regret any of that.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all part of your journey.
Yeah.
Being a PE teacher, how long did you actually do that for?
I only taught for just over 2 years, really. Just enough to get my teaching certificate, and then I also love teaching, but I was one of those people that had to have everything planned down to the last second, and so on Sunday I'd start feeling sick. And I really enjoyed the week, but and you were coaching it, always in those days you coached a team. I coached a hockey team, so that would be your Saturday morning gone. Then Saturday afternoon I'd play hockey, and then Sunday morning I'd have a coaching session for my team, another for the Prem team I was playing for, and then it just felt like, well, I'm back planning for Sunday night, and then I'm teaching again. So I just thought that probably is something else I could do that will be a little bit, cause me less anxiety. So I worked for a pharmaceutical company.
Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting shift.
I know.
How did you get to that?
I had a friend who had studied phys ed, and she was doing that, and she loved it. And actually I did use my physiology, the knowledge that I'd gained through my degree. So I really enjoyed it. I think I'd hate it now. I don't think I'd feel comfortable now. I think I'm a very different person to to the person I was.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. From there you had children.
Yes.
So that was like 19 when was your first daughter?
1995. So we'd moved to Wellington, and we'd been there for quite a few years. I worked from home from there for the same company. So that was good. And I had Nelson and Blenheim in my territory, so that was awesome. Yeah, so Lucy was born, and I was a full-time mum, which is what I wanted to do. And I felt so lucky to be able to do that. Yeah. And I did night classes, like calligraphy, and I did pattern making, and I did all sorts of things. Yeah, so I enrolled in a landscape design course. I think it was meant to be just a year long. And my second daughter I didn't know she was a daughter. Second baby was due in May. And I thought, well, I can cope with this. Dave can look after the kids in the evening, and I'll do the course. But in May, oops, Ella died. So I couldn't keep doing the course, but I did in the end go back and do some of the lectures, but I just couldn't sit the papers and do the big the design plans or anything like that. But
I'm so sorry that happened.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's
a big one.
Yes. yeah, it's a big one. So that I've always wanted to do those sort of creative things. And then the following year in October, my third daughter Molly was born. So that was fantastic, and that went well.
That's good.
Yeah. And we ended up moving to Sydney.
That must have been quite traumatic, going through another pregnancy.
It was actually, it was hard to enjoy it. Yeah. Because you just were worried all the time. And I couldn't use my GP. I had to go through the hospital system. And that was actually, look, honestly, they were fantastic.
Yeah.
And you get induced before so I was induced at 38 weeks. They don't let you go past the time when the previous baby died, sort of thing. It wasn't pleasant. There's just no getting around it. You couldn't relax. You had doubt the whole time. But once she was born, it was you could move forward a lot more.
Yeah.
I do honestly, and this sounds weird, but I think in many ways, we were quite lucky. There was no misadventure with Ella's death. There was just people that were so supportive. And the hospital was amazing. When we went back with Molly, the nurses remembered us and they snuck Dave in and put him in a room with me because, you're induced and so you're there for days sort of before almost. And they were amazing, fancy doing that for us.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And afterwards they let him stay in as well.
That's lovely.
Yeah. Things like that are just, that you do just think, wow.
Yeah.
And actually after Ella died, they set me up with a grief counsellor and she was lovely. And she wanted me to help her write a book. But in the end, we realised the only thing I could write about was Ella. The only thing. I couldn't actually really help her.
Yeah.
Because I was too self-centred at that point, which I get, which I don't think is a bad thing. It's just how it was.
Yeah, and that was your focus, and you were working through your own grief.
Yes, yeah.
You were still on that journey.
Yeah. And it's a sort of a lifelong journey, really. You actually just have to. You do learn to live with it, though. You learn to live with it, and at some point you make a decision. I think that you go, actually, I'm going to really live my life. I'm not going to stay in this holding pattern. And also, we were so lucky. I already had a daughter.
Yeah,
because I really feel even more for the mothers and fathers that lose a child. It's their first child, and no one will give them that identity of being a parent. They can't now. It's probably different, but then and you've probably left your job or gone on maternity leave, and then I just think that would be
even harder.
I think it would be,
but I think it's hard across the board.
Yes.
And I wonder if that experience, losing Ella, has influenced the way that you work now as an artist.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, there's no doubt. I think about, I guess it's my lineage, really. I think it's sort of about the history, and I think about all the women who have gone before me, and there would have been terrible things that happened in their lives, but they've got up and they've kept going,
Do you feel like when you're working, she's in your mind and you're kind of almost working for her?
Sometimes, yeah, which sounds probably really
No, it doesn't. I can totally relate to that.
Yeah, but sometimes it does. And I think the other thing is really the very first set of crosses that I made that were just for me were a way for me to acknowledge her. Because she was cremated. We don't have a gravesite. She's still in a beautiful pewter container in our bedroom. But the whakapapa that I've done on the crosses, she has her cross sort of thing, and I think she started it all, really.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the sort of the silver lining, I guess, of a really tragic event.
Well, you have to make silver linings too. I think you decide that, one of the decisions I thought, well, I'll try to be a better mother, so you have to make sort of positives out of something, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Otherwise you can't carry on.
No, that's right. Well, you carry on in a really subhuman way.
Yeah.
And I just knew I couldn't do that, and that wouldn't be fair on my daughters.
No,
yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
or my husband actually.
Yeah. Oh, you've all been through a lot, and I really feel for you. And thank you very much for sharing that.
Pleasure. Yeah.
So those initial crosses, which I really love that idea actually of recording. It's almost like a family tree in some ways.
It does, absolutely. Yeah.
But
it's loose.
Yeah, which is nice. And then, were you thinking, how am I going to actually make the cross for this particular person, or did you just make a bunch of crosses, or how did it actually come about?
I just made a bunch of crosses. We were renovating a really old villa in Mount Eden, Epsom officially, I think, but we always called it Mount Eden. And this beautiful roofing iron was coming down, and I was like, wow, that is so gorgeous. I've always loved old things, just always been drawn to them, even as a kid. I would go into my grandmother's garage and fossick and find all her old things, weird. Anyway, it was beautiful. So I just started with pencil, I just drew some crosses out and I started trying to cut them. And I think the plumber lent me a tool of some sort. They were such nice guys, the builders we had. And so I cut these crosses out, and then I didn't know how I was going to stick them on the wall. And so I put them away. I put them away for years, actually. They just sat there. And then we moved house, and I got them out again, and I was like, and I'd been formulating ideas in my brain, like I'd been thinking about what I could do. And initially, it was always going to have the kids' names, but it was possibly more about my history, like Dargaville, Ngatea, Cooper's Beach, that kind of thing. And then I just decided to do more of a proper whakapapa. And it's got where they're born and maybe when they were married, and it's just little writing on the
front.
Yeah. So yeah,
and not embellished at all.
No, just very plain.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was beautiful iron, actually.
And that's such a lovely way to record that time that you had in that house.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I actually went back to the house a little while ago.
Really?
Yeah, because I was hoping there was more iron behind the garage, but it had gone.
Oh.
But this lovely woman let me in. She was renting the house, and she let me in, and it was great to see the house again.
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah. And you liked old things, but were you also drawn to corrugated iron in particular?
At that point, really. But no, before then, I just liked anything old. Like I've always loved antique shops, secondhand shops, that kind of thing. Yeah. So it was just that particular iron. I think just was so beautiful and something tangible about it. And I knew it could continue our history from being in that house.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was the start of the iron, really.
And why crosses at that point?
Well, I love the cross. It's such a perfect shape. There's after Ella died, I did spend a bit of time in a church in Glendowie, just sitting, crying, thinking. And I'm not actually religious, but it was like a safe haven kind of place. So the cross from that, I guess. And then I love the navigational idea of the cross, the fact that we've got these different directions we can go in. We've got a choice. We can go, east or west. We can go, and then I think as a New Zealander, it's that Southern Cross is just so important.
Yeah.
It's such a part of our history from before the colonial times, like it's how we all got here. It's how the Māori got here. It's how my colonial ancestors got here.
For New Zealanders, the Southern Cross is just something, it's like a guiding light.
It is.
And it's something that we sort of exist within or below.
Yes.
And when you go away and you can't see it, when you're on the other side of the world, it's just quite sort of unnerving almost.
It is. Yeah. It is. It truly is an important and integral part of us, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah. So interesting. Yeah, and it's just aesthetically, it's a beautiful shape.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and it works so well with the folds, with the curves of the corrugation.
I think it does. Yeah. And I've got an exhibition coming up, and I have done a rectangular piece, which is actually quite nice, because it's nice to sometimes do something a little bit different.
Yeah,
that's not just a cross. But
that's interesting. So you made that set of crosses, and were you thinking this is the beginning of me making more and spending a bit more time getting creative?
Possibly. I mean, I loved being creative, but I didn't think it would go anywhere. They were just for me. I mean, yeah, it was really until Liz came over, and
Liz is the owner of
Turua Gallery. Yes.
Yep, Liz and Dean.
Yes, so that's sort of a serendipitous kind of situation. We were good friends when our daughters went to Kohia Terrace, and we were heavily involved in the art exhibition that they ran. I think they were the first primary school to sort of run an art exhibition, and it was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. Really cool. So we were good friends at Kohia Terrace, and yeah, that's right, she moved away. And I think when you've got kids at that age, you're just so busy with all of the sport and whatever else they're doing, and you just get sort of not overwhelmed, that's the wrong word, but you're really immersed.
Yeah.
And so we did lose contact. And I wouldn't have thought we would have, but we did. And then so years later, I'm in Back and Save in Glendowie, and it's Melissa. So that was fantastic. So they came over for a drink, and as you do, you show people around your house. And, she loved the crosses. And the next day she phoned me and she said, I can't stop thinking about those crosses. And I was like, oh, that's nice, And she said, look, you need to start an Instagram page. You need to, show some things off. And I was like, oh, I suppose I could do that.
And you'd never thought of that before?
No, because everything I made was always just for me.
Yeah.
Or the house, you make curtains and you make throws and rugs and clothes, but it's and people would admire the things I'd made and sometimes say, oh, you should try and sell those, but I'd think, oh, can't do that. So I did start an Instagram page, and I wanted to weave because I thought, what if I'm doing Instagram with these crosses, I'm not going to write on them because the writing's personal. It has to be, that would either have to be a commission or it would have to be me, and I'm not going to necessarily share that on Instagram.
Yeah.
So I just started fiddling around with weaving on them, and it was so much fun. It was just, I would lose hours cutting them out. I love cutting them out. And then I would lose hours weaving. And then, and I had some arty friends, that would say, oh, I love that cross that you posted. And I was like, oh, wow, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. And that's really motivating.
Yeah. And very affirming.
Yeah, very affirming. Yeah. And so I put some more on the wall and at home. And then I was at Barradine because was a relief teacher. And Melissa phoned me. And I can still remember I was in the staff room. And she said, oh, look, Tina and I would like to have some of your crosses in the gallery. And I thought, well, what have I got to lose? Really? Like, I can make some, and if they don't sell, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
So I made some, and I think it was only a few days later, she rang me up and she said, oh, is this the cross lady? And they'd sold, and yeah, so it was really exciting.
Yeah.
It was, I found it unbelievable, to be honest. I just kept on wanting to pinch myself, like, oh, something I've made. Someone else appreciates and loves something that I have made, and they want to have it on their wall. And,
it's big, isn't it?
It is big.
And it would have been quite a big moment in your sort of creative life. You probably started looking at what you were making in a slightly different way, I guess.
Well, that's true. It's an unusual feeling because initially you're just making them for you and there's no pressure really. And suddenly once you're making them for a possible other person, it alters your freedom, I think, a little bit. And so I did struggle with that a little bit, but I'm sort of over that. I'm through that stage now. I'm back to just like, well, if I like it, I like it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try this. And if it doesn't sell, I don't mind.
Yeah.
That's because you're never really doing it for the sales. You're doing it because you love it and you want someone else to appreciate this beautiful old iron and the weaving. And sometimes I haven't woven on the iron because it's so beautiful, very fragile, and people have loved it and they've bought it. And I'm like, well, isn't that cool? That iron gets to live another day.
Yeah.
That it's
been repurposed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the stories behind the iron. I do love that old utilitarian iron that's protected us, that's, sat over us, and it now gets to be on the art gallery wall.
Yeah, it's really lovely, isn't it? And for New Zealanders, it's such a known material. It could be, as you've said, on a marae or on walls or roofs.
Yeah.
Or, it is used so much. Well, it was used so much some time ago, I guess.
Yes.
And it was very much a familiar product. for New
Yes.
Zealanders.
That's
And
kind
then
of-
also now we have the old sheds that are sort of rusting and still have the corrugated iron, which I imagine you love.
I do love.
You go and pinch a bit of iron off it.
I have been known to knock on a door or two.
Yeah, I can imagine. But and the way it weathers is so interesting as well, isn't it?
And the colours that it used on it. Sometimes I'm just blown away. This beautiful pink that I've that a friend of mine found from Invercargill, and it's beautiful. It's pink, and it was just on the edges. It was just on the edges of the iron, so it wouldn't have been. You wouldn't have seen it from the outside of the house. It's a really old house in Invercargill that has been renovated. Like they're fixing it up. It's a heritage building, I think. And this pink was just hidden. Obviously, where it overlapped, but I don't know.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And is that from paint? It's been painted pink at some point.
Been painted pink at some point.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes the iron is glittery. I've had some gold iron. Really, just absolutely blows me away.
And then I love the idea that it's actually that material in itself is telling a story, which you're not necessarily sure of what the story is.
Yes, true.
But somebody's got that iron and somebody's put it somewhere for them, and then somebody's maybe painted it or done something with it that's a little bit different or quirky, or so there's I imagine there's so many stories which you can't really track down, I suppose, but it's quite interesting to think about it.
It's really interesting to think about it. So I do have little stories in my head that go round and round, and I mean, you're making them up really, but I'd love to know. Wouldn't you love to know what went on beneath that roof? Or, and what the thought processes were sometimes with the colours or the. But it's. I think it's just mainly that whole New Zealand thing. And this year, very lucky we had a trip overseas, and it was so interesting because I realised that it wouldn't be a part of those cultures. They wouldn't get it. No, because they have tiles on their roofs. Then the iron that I saw over there would be maybe on the side of a building somewhere, but never celebrated, never like, and only on the old sheds.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a New Zealand thing.
And I love that New Zealand has sort of modernised that corrugation, and it's being used in slightly different ways and made out of slightly different materials, but still celebrating the corrugated form.
Yeah, it really is being celebrated, isn't it? Yeah. Whole modern houses will have a whole wall that's corrugated iron.
Yeah.
I presume it's actually still corrugated iron. Or does it just look like it?
Well, it's steel, it's colour steel.
Steel, right.
Yeah.
Yes, a bit more hardy.
So can we just go back and actually could you please describe your work for somebody who hasn't seen it before?
Okay. Well, I start off with an old sheet of corrugated iron, and I hand cut across out of the corrugated iron, so it's quite small, like maybe 150 millimetres by 150 millimetres, kind of like it. They're not large crosses, and I choose the nicest parts of the iron that I can, and then I will weave around them. Sometimes I'll just play and something will happen. More and more now I have designed my own patterns, and I weave on it, and I'll often do, they're often sold singly, but they can be sold as sets, which is more what I'm going to do in the exhibition, I think. And yeah, so I have, in my head there's a story with the weaving usually, but doesn't matter if other people don't know that story, or and they're based on sort of European patterns, but often they might look a little bit Māori, which I like as well, because that's a little bit of my heritage. So, it's and I've discovered now, like, I can use waxed cord is what I mainly use, but the mercerized thread, which is the very fine sort of crochet thread, is pretty strong. So that's given me a whole lot of colours I can use.
Yeah, which would be amazing.
Yeah.
So if you use just like an embroidery thread, the iron cuts it?
Yeah, cuts it. It's
doesn't
too sharp.
Hold.
No, yeah. And it might be okay for a while, but I'd hate it to be sitting on someone's wall and then fray off. Wouldn't it be awful?
Yeah. And sometimes your patterns are just within the actual iron cross.
Yes.
And other times you have quite a lot of things hanging off.
The threads. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my river pieces, they have a whole lot of meanings behind them. A lot of it for me is about sort of heritage, those that have come before us and those that will come after us, loss and grief even, and it's just those lineal lines, the genetic lines in a way that have made us who we are. It's all about connection for me. That's part of what the weaving is, really. I love the fact that my grandmother, my great-grandmother, my great-great-great-grandmother, from all of the different cultures that they are from, they all would have been doing this. They all would have been weaving or embroidering or using their hands to make probably practical things and sometimes arty things. But, yeah, so it's just a way of connecting, I think.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And you're taking something that has been done domestically by women often and sort of taking it to your own place almost.
Yeah.
I'd just like to go back to when you got that sort of affirmation from Turua Gallery. How did you then progress from there, and what were you thinking?
I was just thinking, I'm just going to have fun. I'm just going to play with this. I loved the iron. I loved the cross. And it was just a matter of fiddling around, really. I just really did just play. And then I really liked some of what I did. It was like, oh, gosh, that's actually really cool.
Yeah. It must have been nice for you to have that material and have that cross idea and then the weaving and feeling like, okay, I've got like my base materials, I've got my concept almost, but then within that there's so much you can do with that.
And I didn't know how much there was to do, and I look back at the original work and I'm like, whoa.
You've come a long way already.
Yeah.
And what year was that when you started?
Oh gosh, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago, I guess. Would it be maybe 3 years ago? I'm not very good with time in that sense.
But isn't that amazing that in 3 or 4 years you've got to that point? And do you see yourself as an artist now?
I think I'm almost there. It has initially, I could not call myself an artist to anybody. I thought of myself as a craftist and a creative person, but I really struggled to use that word, artist. I felt like, well, so many, particularly women, but I think so many artists do have that imposter syndrome, and I'm not formally trained in any way. So but I think I'm almost there. I think I'm actually able to call myself that, which is a really big thing for me.
It's fantastic. And you deserve that title.
Oh, thanks.
You really do. Your work is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
I really am so drawn to it. And I just looking at the crosses, I feel that sort of instant connection with my family and the people within it. And there is that sort of, somehow you do portray that sort of whakapapa.
Yeah, hopefully.
It does come
good,
through.
because that's what it's meant to be.
Yeah.
But, and it won't be for everyone, will it?
No, and it doesn't matter.
No, that doesn't matter at all.
No.
But I think I'm almost there. And actually, when you asked me to be on the podcast, that was hilarious, because I was like, I think I said to you, are you sure?
Don't worry, you're not the first.
But I think saying yes to the joint exhibition has helped. Also, the fact that I've got other galleries have contacted me. So I'm with Turua, obviously, is the first my gallery, and but I'm with Kina Gallery in New Plymouth, and Soul Gallery in Hamilton, and the Artist's Room Gallery in Dunedin. So that also does affirm,
what you're doing.
Yeah. You sort of go, okay.
That's great. And so you, just from having your work on Instagram, other galleries have come to you.
Yes.
Isn't that good?
Yeah.
Because it is very original.
It is. And yeah. No one's going to bother to copy it, I don't think, because there's not a lot of money in it.
No, but I think, speaking of money, and pricing, which is always quite hard when you're sort of you think of yourself as a new artist.
Yes.
Pricing is hard.
Very.
But I do feel like they're very cheap. They're too cheap.
I think you're right. Like but you never want to add up your hours. I think you're right, but I think we just have to gradually go up a little bit, and yeah, that's hard. Because that's another hard thing, isn't it? And with cost of living and everything, you do sort of go, oh, but there is actually a lot of hours that go into each cross, and a lot of thought as well.
Yeah, and it's respecting your craft.
True. Okay, Mandy.
Yes, absolutely. And it's also, I've heard people speak about this where they say, if your prices are too low, then it's hard for other people within the artistic community. It's like we've all got to kind of lift up.
I didn't think about that. That is true.
It's another way of looking at it.
That is another way of looking at it, actually. Yes. And I should value my own work. Yeah.
And you probably do value it, but you haven't maybe got to that point of thinking, okay, now I need to charge accordingly kind of thing.
Yes, true.
And that often does take a little bit of time, but, something to think about. Now you're going to be world famous. You're on the podcast. You can just charge whatever you like. But yeah, I think it is something that a lot of artists struggle with. It is very hard pricing.
It really is hard, isn't it?
But you've said that you don't make to sell. That's not your main intention.
No.
So in that case, if they are more expensive and don't always sell, then that's okay.
Well, that's true as well. I hadn't thought of it like that. That's true. Yeah.
And it's very, very intricate work. I mean, when I saw the cross you gave me, I was quite amazed. Like I said earlier, when you look at the photograph, you think, oh, that's beautiful weaving. But when you actually look at the piece and turn it over and see, there's almost another beautiful pattern underneath.
Sometimes I've thought about doing that back to front.
So, and as you say, there's so much work has gone into it, and you can see that. Yeah. So let's talk about the weaving. How did you actually get onto that, and then how did you sort of develop your skills in weaving?
Okay. Well, the weaving initially, as I said, it was just play. And then I thought, what came first? I think on Instagram, I must have been looking at weavers or something. So this Lark and Bauer Instagram page popped up. And it's an English woman, and she does online courses. So I found one that the hours weren't too bad. It was like, I don't know, 5 a.m., something like that. And she sent to New Zealand from England. She sends a box, and it's little plywood squares in it, and a whole lot of thread that she sources from end of run cones, so it's quite sustainable, and needles and some patterns. And then you zoom in to the weaving course. It's 3 hours long. It felt like 5 minutes. She was amazing. So you just did some basic, you didn't finish anything, you just started 3 different patterns, but you had a whole lot of other patterns that she'd given you, and she gives you the recording of it. So that was brilliant, and loved that. And then I managed to put some of that onto the crosses, and then she had a level 2 course, and I did that. So that really helped develop that side of things. And then you get you have freedom. You start going, I don't have to follow the rules.
Yeah,
I'll do what I want, and I'll embroider on top of this if I want to, and I'll just make up my own pattern. So yeah, so that's Lark and Bauer. And I have done a Māori weaving course through, I think it's Veranoa Hetet, the Hetet School of Māori Weaving. I'm not quite good enough at it yet to put it on the crosses. So, and there's people that are very good at that, but I still think at some point that would be really cool just to have a little bit of that on some of
beautiful.
Yeah, I think so. And that was a cool thing to take away with me, because I could do it. I couldn't take bits of iron away with me. And
is that using harakeke or
no,
thread?
just thread. And I've thought about the harakeke, but I think there are people that are brilliant at that, and I am going to leave that to them. But
you could still do your version of it with the corrugated iron.
True. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, you're taking that traditional, traditional craft, and you could still take it to wherever you want to take it, just like the other weaving skills.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
Yeah, which would be quite lovely.
Yes, it would be beautiful.
But as you say, I think you can get more experimental when you've actually done the learning.
Yes,
And then
definitely.
Then you can kind of head off.
And there's certainly times at the moment where I do just find myself heading off somewhere and I'm like, oh, I have come a wee way.
Yeah.
And that's really fun to see.
Yeah, I bet. That's amazing. And the weaving is quite modern. I mean, I guess it's a really quite thin thread that you use.
Quite often there's a thin thread, yeah. And I've bought books like the Annie Albers, what's it called? I've gone blank on the name of it, but any weaver will know her book, and I found books in secondhand stores and things, and that's incredible. Sometimes there'll just be one little pattern. It's like, oh, I can use that but as the base, and then and I sometimes initially I do them on graph paper myself, but initially I would photocopy them and cut them up and make this pattern that way.
Yeah,
but now I get the graph paper out and I can design it properly, but.
And that sort of does come back to your pattern making and dressmaking skills.
I think so, actually. Yeah.
And the pattern is like the weaving. When you think of weaving, you think of it all being woven, but you actually take lots of sort of long strands and pull them around the cross, don't you? So
yes.
It's very lineal.
Very.
And then it has pattern within that.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is really effective.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Love it. So how do you decide on your pattern? Do you actually kind of experiment with drawing and that kind of thing first, or do you get it from different ideas and pull things together, different resources?
Different resources. A lot of it's just in my head. And a lot of it's not rushed usually. Like I will have the iron for quite a long time, and quite often I'll have cut the iron out and I still won't have woven on it for weeks. And then I will suddenly know what I'm going to do. And I'll start, and it doesn't always work. Sometimes you start, a number of times and end up cutting it all off. Or if I haven't glued it, I can sometimes unpick it, but sometimes the cord gets a bit ruined if it's been wrapped around the iron, so you have to throw that away. But sometimes I'll know a particular kind of direction of the story I want to tell, and that was what happens. Yeah. But other times I'll just fiddle around really. And then once I've done one, then you get more of a direction going. Then you can see something happening.
And then that inspires you for the next one. Yeah.
And then you suddenly see what you can do, and sometimes it's just a variation on what you've done, so that they have a connection. They're not all disparate pieces. That they are somehow works.
Yeah.
But it was quite fun overseas. I got a lot of thread overseas that you can't get here. In Spain, there are shops that are crowded with people. They're craft shops. And you go and buy this beautiful coloured waxed cord, and they just wind it around their hands and give it to you. And there's a queue to get to the counter. It was incredible.
Wow. That must have been like feeling like you're in a lolly shop.
It was.
Yeah, how amazing.
Yeah.
And you do use fishing.
I use fishing line. Yes, yeah. So I really like using the fishing line. It's actually really hard to use. Not so much when I've just used it on the weft, but when I'm using it on the vertical warp lines, it has its own mind. Like it's can be quite hard to use, but it gives the weaving such a luminous sort of reflective quality.
Yeah.
And I love that, particularly in my Aotearoa pieces, because that to me just says it all. Like we're surrounded by the sea, we've got the sky. It's just, I don't know. Fishing's part of our makeup, isn't
DNA.
It? Yeah, it is. Yeah,
absolutely.
So.
Yeah, and that's quite interesting that you found that. Do you feel like you're quite experimental with the types of threads that you want to use, and can you see that kind of shifting in the future?
I guess I am experimental, really. I'll just experiment with anything. I've tried copper wire, and actually that was okay. I've done a couple of things with that in it. Found some of Dad's old, it wasn't wire, it was a copper sort of, I don't know, tape almost. So I've used that in some. I'll try anything, but you just have to, if it's new, I have to make sure that it's not going to break. So I wouldn't give it to a gallery straight away. Like I'd sit with it for quite a while and make sure that it's not going to fall apart.
Yeah.
Because those edges can be quite sharp.
And you don't file them down?
Sometimes I'll file a little bit down, but not really, because the filing almost makes it sharper.
Really?
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess it would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just use aviation snips. So I'm actually thinking, as I'm getting older, I'm actually thinking I might see if I can get some sort of tool that could do some of the cutting. But I don't know. I use a nibbler to cut out a square, but and then I can cut in from there by hand. But do you think people? Does it matter to people that it's hand cut? Is that an important?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah,
Personally,
yeah,
because you could actually get it laser cut, couldn't you?
I could. The thing with that though is that I choose. It's not the whole piece of iron that I'm using. This, it's you are choosing these particular pieces of iron that might be at the top, in the middle, at the side, and so I don't know if with laser cutting if they could do that for me. But some of them could be done that way, because some of the crosses, it's more about the weaving than the iron almost.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could do a variety, combination.
So I could try that, because I must admit sometimes my wrists and hands get really sore.
Yeah, that would be really hard.
Yeah.
So it's like tin snips.
Yeah, aviation snips, but it's that's what they are.
Yeah, that's hard. It's really hard. And have you ever thought about doing things with the tin, like painting or playing with that idea?
Yeah, I have, and I have quite early on. I did paint a couple of little rectangles and things on the iron, and it did look quite cool actually. And they sold, but I haven't gone back there. But maybe I will. That'd be fun. I think
you should. And I mean, there must be things like wire and
absolutely
all sorts of things that you could use for weaving.
Yeah,
definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I feel that's what I meant when I said, it feels like you've got your craft, you've got your art form, and you've got so much potential.
True.
Which is so exciting. It's not like, I can't imagine you'd ever be short of ideas.
No, that's true. And I've seen advertised, probably on Instagram, some crochet wire. And I thought, that could be interesting, because obviously it must be flexible, and, that could be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So.
And then just exploring colour. I mean, you could go do a whole neon series. Or...
Yes. I did some quite bright orange crosses, which were popular. So, and fun to make, because sometimes there's always a bit of a story in my head. Sometimes there's a big story in my head, but sometimes it's more about just celebrating that, having fun, and celebrating that this bit of iron gets to be on an art gallery wall or in someone's home. It doesn't always have to have a really deep and meaningful kind of story behind it.
It can be just about aesthetics.
Yes.
And that's okay.
Yes, about joy. Yeah.
Wow, that's so exciting. Oh my goodness, it really motivates me to get making that kind of thing. It's just such a fantastic concept. And I love the idea of making little sets, because they do work beautifully together, even if they're all quite different.
Yeah.
They make beautiful sets, like of 3 or 5. And you wouldn't necessarily do 5 exactly the same, would you?
No, I don't think I've ever done one. I don't think I've ever done crosses that are exactly the same. They will be similar, but there's always some sort of difference. Yeah, I don't think I'd do 5 exactly the same.
No, I don't think it would be as cool. I think it's lovely to be slightly different, because they're connecting through their materials.
Yes, yeah,
in a way, and the cross idea.
I've got there's some that will be in the exhibition that one is 20 crosses. So that will be interesting to see on the wall, which is what I've got at home.
Yeah.
That's the size of that. So, and I haven't woven on every piece of that because it was too busy. It would just be, it's like actually And sometimes the iron just needed to speak for itself. Sometimes that piece of iron did not need anything on it.
Yeah.
So that will be interesting to see.
Yeah, and that's going to be sold as one piece.
As an installation.
Wow,
yeah, so
that's great.
Yeah, and there's one with 7 and one with 8. And so, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, good on you. But that's a bit different. And I feel like that's another part of your practice that can be developed. There's the singles and then the sets and then the installations. And that your work would just lend itself so beautifully to, corporate installations or even urban, outside.
Yes, that would be interesting. I would have to think carefully about thread, I guess. Maybe you wouldn't thread those, I don't know.
Or fishing line.
Or fishing, true. Yeah. Oh, there you go.
I mean, even things like, the Auckland, what do they call it? Auckland Art Week, I think it is. There's quite a few, installations that might be permanent or ephemeral.
Right.
And then just, putting in proposals for your work to be put on in certain places would be cool.
Yeah.
On walls or even hanging.
Yes.
Like a banner.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're like just totally motivating me. I'm like, oh my God. It's exciting.
It is exciting, actually. I do feel quite proud of myself because I'm 60, and I've said yes to things, and my husband's really proud of me. My daughters are really proud of me. Like that's really cool too.
That is cool.
And it just sort of, I guess, I've gone in a new direction and it's fantastic.
And you found your thing that really lights your fire.
Yeah.
And will keep you going for the next 30 years.
Yeah, that's right.
40 years. Yeah. Which is a fantastic position to be in, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. That's so good. Have you thought about scale and making things that are really big?
I have done a couple of bigger pieces. I will definitely need some different tools, some decent tools if I'm going to go bigger, because by hand it's so hard to cut.
Yeah.
So that could be the next thing, I think, and it does lend itself really nicely to big, actually.
Yeah.
So I've got a bit of research to do and a bit of experimenting to do there.
And maybe you could use laser cut.
That might be
for that.
Yes, I think you'd probably have to. And that actually might be better than buying some big tool that I've got in the garage, actually, because I have half the garage anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a good tool to use. It's just another tool.
Yeah, but I can take that to someone, can't I?
Yeah.
So, I hadn't thought about that in terms of the big pieces. That is a really good idea.
And you could do sculpture shows. I think your work would be stunning. And also you could think about, at the moment, your work, like I said, is actually really beautiful on the underside. But you have a front side that you expect is going to be displayed. But it'd be quite interesting to think about your work as a all the way around kind of object.
You could possibly weld or glue together pieces, I guess, so that it was double-sided in a sense.
Yeah.
Because some of them aren't so pretty underneath. Like, to be honest, like that design lends itself nicely to the underside, but some designs there's quite a few knots behind.
So which is okay.
Yeah. But it might not look so good if you're to look at.
Yeah, on the back, yeah.
Oh,
it's such an exciting conversation. Oh my God. I'm excited for you. I wish I was you. That's so good.
Oh, well, you're very motivating, I have to say. I've got now my brain's going like really whirling around.
That's great. I'll be watching with interest. So all of this beautiful work is going to be on show at Turua Gallery in your joint show, which is called Elements.
Yes.
And that's with Claudia Alderink and Kylie Russ.
Yes.
And that's from the 18th of October till the 30th of October 2024.
Yes.
So that's next week, isn't it? No, week after.
Week after.
Oh my God.
I just had a heart attack.
Week after next, and that's a Friday night opening.
Yes. So I think it's 5 p.m.
Yep. And as I've said before, they're always a great opening at Turua Gallery.
They really are, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're really
good.
Yeah, they are. They're really good.
They're
really
always
fun.
really busy and social. And
yes.
Yeah.
There's
fun.
wines and, I feel really lucky to be exhibiting with Kylie and with Claudia.
Yeah.
They are very experienced, and they've been really good to me. We've had some Zoom calls, and I get to ask questions because I'm by far the least experienced. So I think our work does go really well together.
Yeah, it really does.
It really does. It is. I think it's going to be very beautiful.
I think it's going to be a very special show, actually. And I've done a quick update with Kylie.
Oh, good.
She'll be on the podcast as well. She was one of my sort of first bunch of guests.
Yes.
So her work is landscape lithographs and paintings. So that's sort of bringing that element of whenua land in. And then Claudia Alderink, does like charcoal.
You chooses beehives.
Yes. Yeah.
And she does them without charcoal too, but these ones will mostly be charcoal, I think. And she cuts them out and she sort of hand burns them. I mean, it's a real process. Yeah.
They're really beautiful.
But I love the fact that the three of us all, because Kylie's the lithograph, that's very physical.
Yeah.
And all three of us are doing things that are, need a bit of strength, I think.
Yeah, which is that's a lovely connection as well, isn't it? It's not just the work, it's how you work.
Yes.
And, the idea of Claudia taking beehives, which are also quite a traditional New Zealand iconic object, it's a really nice connection. And then Kylie responding to many places that we're all familiar with. So it's like you're connecting to things that you're familiar with, but they're different things in a way.
Yes.
Yeah, which is nice. Yeah. You have mentioned Instagram and marketing on Instagram. How do you find that?
I don't think I don't love posting if I don't have anything to say, so I struggle a little bit with posting enough, I think. But Instagram's quite nice to use. I don't understand the algorithm, and I don't understand when people follow me why they don't get to see my posts and vice versa. I follow people and I never see their posts, so I'd have to search them to look for it. So I don't understand some of that. But I am really thankful that particularly Turua Gallery and all of the galleries use Instagram, but they're very good at using Instagram and promoting their artists' work.
They're very good at that.
Yeah. So that's me with Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a funny one, isn't it? It's really hard to know. And I feel the same. I only really like to post if I've actually got something to share, which might be, my border collie running around like a mad puppy or something silly like that. But it's sometimes nice to give a little bit of something personal.
And I'm not very good at that.
No, I've noticed that actually.
Yes.
That could be something. I mean, I feel like for me, it's not about me sort of talking into the camera so much. I wouldn't be that fussed on doing that.
Right.
But just maybe showing my garden or...
Right, yes.
Something that's sort of about me or my beach or...
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
and the video thing of yourself is... I don't know. I feel like I can't be bothered with that anymore.
No.
And I really don't know if it's that interesting for anyone anyway.
I don't know. But yes, no, I'm pretty private on that side of things. So I could do a little bit more sharing in that sense.
It's hard to know, isn't it? And you don't have a website. Is that a particular choice?
Yes. I think it would take the enjoyment away for me. I would much rather spend my time making the crosses, cutting them out, weaving them, finding the iron. I mean, that takes time. We always have snips and gloves in the car.
Really?
Yes.
I was going to ask you actually how you actually source it.
Yeah, I just find it. Sometimes friends have found some for me, so I call them members of the Iron Rescue Collective.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, we've on a bike ride, sometimes we stop and if someone's pulling a roof down and they'll usually say, yeah, come back and pick some up. And one roofer showed us how to rip the iron. Brilliant. So then you can just, fit it in your car. But a website for me, sorry, going back to that, I think would, take away the joy. And I think the galleries are brilliant at that. And I'm really happy that they do that for me.
Yeah.
I think the crosses take me quite a long time to make. And if I had a website, it would possibly send me over the edge.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's so true, isn't it? That art gallerists are so good at all of that.
They are.
That's their job.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to bother with it.
No, and that's why I'm with galleries. I mean, apart from the fact that by being with a gallery, so much value is added to your work, I think.
Yeah.
You know, if I wasn't with a gallery, I don't know. I don't know how to put it, but
You're taken more seriously.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah.
So I think the galleries, for me, are fantastic.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's great. Well, Gilly, I don't want to finish our conversations. I'm reluctant to get onto the questions, but I think it is question time. What would you say to your younger artistic self?
I found this question really difficult because am I talking about, when I'm 57, or am I talking about my younger self, the creative self? But one of the things I did think was listen more and talk less. And by listen, I mean observe. Go to art galleries, soak up all of that stuff, go to more cultural shows, sort of immerse myself more in that world, and probably self-belief for me is something I've always struggled with. So yeah, maybe I'd say have a bit more guts, try and sell some of those cushion covers you made or whatever, but if I'd done any of that, maybe I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. So
yeah, it's hard to know, isn't it?
It is hard to know. I definitely think if I'm talking about the short part of the journey where I'm beginning to call myself an artist, I would definitely say believe in yourself more, sell yourself more in a sense, like knock that imposter syndrome on the head. Yeah. And that'll always be a work in progress. But
yes, I don't think that ever goes away,
No.
sadly. And what do you find the most challenging aspect of being an artist?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. I love being an artist, honestly. It's like I have to seriously pinch myself quite often. It is like I can't say that I always dreamed of being an artist because I didn't think that was possible. So it's just amazing. Sometimes it is actually finding the resources, the iron or the right cord. My process is quite messy, but I'm lucky my husband doesn't care about that. So that's not too much of a challenge actually, because he just accepts that.
Do you have an actual studio workspace?
I have a room at home inside that I've taken over, and I've got 2 tables in there. I probably need to get some better lighting because I do find working at night quite hard to see properly, even with glasses.
Well, it's very fine work.
Yeah. So I don't work at night very often. And then I have half the garage basically.
So have you ever thought of having a separate studio space that you have to go to?
Not really. No, I like the fact that it's at home, that I can stop what I'm doing, go for a bike ride, come back, and it's just there, you know.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that it's at home. Actually, for me, that really works.
Yeah.
If I had young kids, I think that would be very different. But, for the stage of life that I'm at, having it at home is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm quite a messy, my house is quite tidy, but I'm quite messy in my workspace. So that works for me, but it might not work in a shared space or somewhere else.
Yeah. And why do you think you're making the kind of work you're making?
I don't know exactly. I just can't help but make it. And it makes me feel calm and good, and I lose time, like it disappears, but it's more than that. I guess it makes me feel a little bit valued, I suppose, if you want to think of it like that. But I'm just drawn, I just can't help but make it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yes, it really does. Well, I have totally enjoyed speaking with you, Gilly, and it's been so lovely to meet you. Once again, another guest comes and I I want you to be my best friend.
I'll sign up.
It's kind of weird, but it's true. And yeah, I just absolutely love your work. I can't wait for the show. And I'm really inspired by your story. I think you've just done so well in such a short amount of time, and for you to find that in you and really grow it and develop it and trust it is actually amazing. So thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Oh, I'm just so grateful to be here, Mandy. And it's been so lovely to meet you because I've listened to so many of the podcasts and I find them really inspiring. But it's lovely to meet you, and thank you so much for having me on.